Little Miss Fickle by Roger Hargreaves. On Wednesday, little Miss Fickle went to the butcher's. "I'd like some sausages," she said. "Beef sausages or pork sausages?" asked the butcher. "Pork sausages," replied little Miss Fickle. The butcher wrapped up the pork sausages. "But beef sausages would be nicer," said little Miss Fickle. The butcher unwrapped the pork sausages and wrapped up some beef sausages instead. "On the other hand," continued little Miss Fickle, "chops would be tastier." It was at that moment that the butcher decided he needed a vacation. But on Thursday, guess what happened? Little Miss Fickle disappeared. Little Miss Neat had seen her pass Two Pin Cottage on the way into Sunnytown, but she hadn't come back. She didn't come back on Friday either. So little Miss Neat went looking for her. She met Mr. Muddle. "Have you seen little Miss Fickle?" she asked anxiously. Mr. Muddle looked at her in a puzzled sort of way. "Did you say, 'Have I been for a little tickle?'" he asked. "Oh, Mr. Muddle," said little Miss Neat, and hurried on. Then little Miss Neat met Mr. Forgetful. "Have you seen little Miss Fickle?" she asked. Mr. Forgetful thought. "Well," she said, "have you?" Mr. Forgetful thought again. "Have I what?" he asked after a while. "Oh, Mr. Forgetful," said little Miss Neat, and hurried on. But could she find little Miss Fickle? No, she could not. Nobody had seen her. The Sunnytown Public Lending Library has 19,999 books. On Saturday afternoon, little Miss Fickle reached up and took one of them down from a shelf. "I'll read this one," she thought to herself. "On the other hand," she thought again, looking at another book, "perhaps I'll read that book instead." She put the first book back on the shelf and took the other book down. It was the 19,999th book she had chosen. Little Miss Fickle had been in the library for 3 days choosing a book. 3 whole days choosing just one single solitary book. She went home carrying her book. That Saturday afternoon, little Miss Neat was in the garden of Two Pin Cottage when little Miss Fickle walked past. "Where have you been?" she called out. "To the library," she replied little Miss Fickle. "For 3 days?" exclaimed little Miss Neat. Well, explained little Miss Fickle, I wanted to choose the right book. And she held it up, and then she stopped and looked at it. Oh, botherations, she said. I've read it before. The end.